Good morning, everybody. As soon as I started, the dog started barking. Hey, everybody, how you doing? I told you I didn't know if I had anything to say at 10 o'clock. Well, it's not 10 o'clock, but the Father gave me something to say. So here I am. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. They call it the hump day, but I don't know. It still seems like it's not midweek for me, but I just want to tell everybody thank you so much for your support, your love, your prayers. I really appreciate you commenting on my post. And I had put out there that I have the best timeline. I'm not lying. I have 2 Facebook pages. And on either one of them do I find anything offensive. There's no arguments. There's nothing going on. It's people just living, supporting each other, and sharing in the way that they choose to share. So thank you so much. And I do apologize for the noise. My puppies have a tendency to be jealous. But that being said, everybody, this is Ms.B, Positively Ms.B. And I just got a word for you. What's in your closet? What's in your closet? I'm not going to go through a whole lot of, I guess you could say one thing after another. I'm not going to do a joke this morning in the wisdom corner and all of that. I really want to talk to you about me. Some of my posts this morning were personal. But that's what it's about, being able to relate to people and understand that we are all in life together. So what I share, I know what I'm sharing. I have no need to share. It's just I'm inspired to share to get other people to think about, that's me. So what's in your closet? Good morning, everybody. What's in your closet? Some people call it being predisposed. I mentioned in one of my videos that I was predisposed to alcoholism because of generational alcoholics on both sides of my biological parents' family. And so I know to stay away from that. I love Coronas, and I could drink Coronas down like Powerade, like a cold glass of water, or Arnold Palmer. I just turn the bottle up and guzzle it down like a man. So I stay away from that. So let's talk about what's in your closet. What's in your closet? So many people talking about, they don't want to talk about generational curses. They don't want to talk about what your family is predispositioned to. We can go all the way back to Adam and Eve and move forward, but let's talk about people that you have personally met in your lifespan as a childhood on. Some of them have gone on, but let's just talk about, for us who are older, let's talk about your lifespan. For me, I'm 61. What's in your closet from your family? So many people are talking about same-sex relationships, but I want to move forward and talk about everything under the sun we are all predisposed to. Every sin we are all in danger of falling prey to. It just depends how deep it goes into our immediate bloodline. So let's just talk about Ms.B. I wrote that I want to write, but I don't want to do what authors do. I see so many people, struggling, trying to promote their book, and they have to go to book signings, and they have to, I don't want to do that. I really don't. I don't want to do any of that. But I want to write the book, so I'm just going to let God handle it. But one of the books that I'm going to write or finish, it happened years ago. My parents were still living, and the Lord woke me up. Seriously, I'm not going to say, oh, something said. No, the Lord woke me up in the middle of the morning, and back then, I had a computer from Finger Hut, so you can imagine it, AOL dial-up internet. So I still was doing a lot of things the old-fashioned way. So I got me a yellow pad, legal pad, and a pencil. And I started writing down. So the name of the book is My Struggle with Unbroken Curses. 237 pages, 13 chapters, 5 of them are written. And so when I showed it to my father, he said, oh, you need to make sure everybody dead and gone before you start writing this one. You don't want to start nothing. So after, loving my dad, hey, baby girl, after loving my dad beyond life itself, I said, okay, Daddy, I will not publish this book until, the people that I was fictitiously going to reference would figure out I was talking about them. So I just left it alone. And that's been years and years, and I still have it. And so my struggle with unbroken curses, I want to talk about me today. And maybe you all can understand a little bit more about your life. We read the scriptures, but we don't understand that there is a such thing. There are such things as curses. Generational curses. I know a lot of people are not into the Old Testament. Most people say, oh, well, that was for then, not now. And, you know, I'm not here to judge that. For references, I am using the entire Bible. And as the Lord leads me, I will give you the scriptures that will bring home the point that he wants to make. Numbers 14:18 is this first scripture I'm referencing today about what's in your closet. The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression. But he will by no means clear the guilty visiting the iniquity. Listen, clear the guilty visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and the fourth generation. Let me just break that down to you. You keep going back to stuff that your grandmama's uncle, nephew did because you said, well, that's in my genes, it's generational, that's who I am, that's what my family's all about. You know, he said, you keep going back to the stuff of the people that did it in the past, you are not going to be forgiven for that because you are accepting responsibility for your behavior. Okay, so let's talk about, I'm just going to use it in general. So many people are generational recipients of government checks. I'm using that because a lot of people are focusing on so many people who are receiving governmental checks, and they have the grandmama, the great-grandmama, they got children, the children giving to have children, and everybody living in the projects next to each other receiving governmental checks. I'm not knocking anything that anybody chooses to do, but it seems there's a pattern in that family to have children not work and receive help. That's a choice. But why is it a choice? Why is it generational? So let's just use me as an example. I'm going to try to move forward just me. So first, I already told you that I'm predisposed. We are all predisposed to everything. It just depends on how strong that predisposition is in our family. I did not want to be a divorced individual. Every female on both my biological parent and father's side, their first marriage did not work. I did not want to be divorced, so I did everything I could to stay in a marriage that was never meant to be. That's also going to be in my book. So I was predisposed to making bad choices and staying in marriages for the wrong reason and eventually still getting divorced. But every second marriage was absolutely amazing. The husband that I have now, I posted, he's not perfect, but he's perfect for me. So my family is generationally predispositioned to divorce. Both on my biological parents' sides of the family, we're predispositioned to same-sex relationships. Back in the day, my grandfather's generation and before him, my grandparents' relatives, they used to get so drunk that they thought having sex with sheep was normal because the vagina represented women. On my father's side of the family, they were in every prominent position there was, but they had a predisposition to same-sex relationships for generations. Now, for those of you who don't understand what I'm about to say, okay, but I'm predispositioned to have same-sex relationships. They are in my generation as well. So I've been approached. I've been approached several times. They said I have the aura. They know who should be in the family. And being a woman of God, I was like, okay. But you know, if I was honest with myself, and I had to be, I knew that they probably recognized a weakness in me that they thought they could attack. Do you realize that so many people recognize weaknesses? Spiritual things connect people spiritually. And what you want to have in your life is a choice. I chose to not communicate with that particular predisposition. It doesn't mean it's not there. it means that I'm not acting on it. That's why I'm staying away from coronas. That's why I have same-sex relationship friends, but I don't associate with them closely because it could bring out that particular characteristic in me. I, as a younger woman, was a size 10. My waist used to be so small that I used to have to take up my clothes, and my hips were bigger. And that was not welcome because on both sides of my family, being heavy was the norm for the women. And so my mom used to always say, girl, you need to eat. You need to eat. Put some weight on your bones. So I had two things that I was going through. One, I was smaller than most of my family. And two, my mother insisted that I eat. So my family was predispositioned to being overweight. And even though I wasn't, it became an obstacle for me. I would eat comfort food. I would eat alone a lot. I ate. So as time progressed, I became heavier. After my first child, I went from 123 to 133. After my second child, I went from 127 to 165. And I haven't been 165 in years because I'm predispositioned to eat for comfort food. And not only that, even though I didn't start out large, have you ever noticed some heavy people have heavy babies and heavy babies have heavy babies? Very few come out smaller than their parents. There is a such thing as generational situations. I don't want to say everything is a curse, but what's in your closet? What have you been exposed to and don't realize that's why you behave the way you do? My grandmother, she loved her some Jesus. Yes, she did. She passed the mantle to me. She would pray 6, 12, 6, 12, and any other time. She would pray in public. She would pray all the time. She would take me to Bible studies with her. I know that that's a predisposition for me, that the relationship with Christ I have is real. But the closer she got to her Alzheimer's, there were things that would come out of her mouth that was like, that's not my grandma. Because everybody around her, including my grandfather, profanity was a second language. You know what? Actually, profanity was the first language. You had to figure out what they were going to say in English because every other word was not clean. So I'm predisposed to using profanity, and therefore I don't like being around people with profanity because that spirit transference is there. But I am a cusser by heredity. Have you ever wondered why you act the way you do? Hurt people hurt people. Let's talk about that. I love my grandparents. My grandparents love me. As a matter of fact, my mother accused them of loving me more than they did her. So I was predisposed to love. I actually do not know how to hate anybody. I don't care how bad you treat me. I forgive you. I may not forget it, but I will love you as if you have never done anything to me. I'm predisposed to love. I absolutely have the love of Christ in me, and I'm not kidding. I'm predisposed to love. But I'm also predisposed to profanity. I'm also predisposed to anger. I have moments that I get angry. And when I realized that I had to trust God to control that anger, or I was going to wind up in trouble. Have you ever had those thoughts, do this, do that? Well, I had in the day, and sometimes still, but I know how to control it now. I had thoughts of homicide. Yeah. Wanted to kill my ex-husband. I wanted to just blow him away. I thought of every way. Then it got to the point, I'm not going to kill him and go to hell. I'm just going to kill myself. So I had thoughts of suicide. On both sides of my family, it was suicide. Heavy. Some of my family relatives did not commit murder, but they attempted to. And they went to jail for shooting at people, shooting people. Have you ever wondered why you act the way you do? I'm just going to tell you. He said he's not going to forgive you for going back to the things that your forefathers did. If you know it's wrong and you're predisposed to it, you accept it as a part of your personality, as a part of your behavior, then there you go. It's a choice. What's in your closet? I did a video about it doesn't fit. I did not want to turn clothes away that my mom and my aunt had. And when I first got them, they were too big. And then I held on them too long. I mean, they were too small. When I held on them too long, they became too big. So were they ever really mine? Are you really wearing your personality? Are you wearing the personality of your mother and father and people before you? What's in your closet? Have you taken time to evaluate? Hurt people hurt people. My mom loved me immensely, but she was hurt by her relatives. Some of my relatives may be watching and they know what I'm saying, but they don't understand the impact that they had on my mom. And so growing up, I would listen to her cry because she wanted love from her relatives so bad. And believe it or not, my relatives appeared to love me and not her. And that hurt her even more. So her hurt started hurting people. She would lash out at me, the one that she loved the most. She would lash out at me. Hurt people hurt people. I chose not to hurt people, but hurt people hurt people. Do you really understand why people are hurting you? My grandfather, I witnessed how he treated my mom. I witnessed how my mom was rejected from my relatives. And it hurt. Hurt people hurt people. So why are people hurting you? Why do your parents hurt you? Have you thought about what they went through as children? Are they holding on to things that hurt them and they haven't handled it? If you don't confront anything, you can't conquer it. Why are people hurting you? Do you want to be a hurt person that hurt others because they hurt you? The Father's not going to forgive us for doing things just because somebody before us did it. We have a choice. What's in your closet? Are you going into your closet and not pulling out the things that fit you, but you're just putting on anything because it's available? That's what I did with my mom and my aunt's clothes. I pulled it out because it was available. Are you going into your life pulling out things from other people's personality and making it fit when it really doesn't belong to you? Is it necessary for you to live a life in the projects just because other people do? I refuse to hurt people that hurt my mom just because they too are hurt, because hurt people don't hurt people on purpose. I refuse to allow myself to become anything other than what my Father wants me to be. And when I put him first, then all those things pass away. It says, John 8:36. So if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. If Jesus Christ died on the cross to set us free, do you think he's happy with us going back to things that he set us free from? For those of you who are followers of Jesus Christ and read the scriptures, that's not just a cute little scripture. He said, you will be free indeed. If you've accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then he has given you complete free will to live a free life. It's not easy, but you have to choose wisely. But don't take me lightly. Some of us are so bound because of generational things. It's hard to even recognize. And it's not easy to shake because it starts in your mind. And the enemy has that battlefield going. Your thoughts control your actions. And if you believe that you can't be set free, you won't. If you believe that's what you were destined to be, then you will be. The mind is the battlefield. And no matter how much people send you to counseling and send you to, the Holy Ghost oil throwing churches and all of that, the enemy is not going to turn you loose easy. That's why I'm careful who I associate with. I'm not better. I just recognize the enemy is going to use my weakness. I can't hang around alcoholics because I'll be wanting a Corona. I can't hang around different lifestyles because I may be attracted to do that. What's in your closet? It's not all your fault. I gave an example about a father having a red-headed baby, but nobody on either side of the family can recall having anything other than dark-haired children for generations. But you know, you just never know how far back something may creep up. And then you have to deal with that. There's generational curses, generational things going on that we have to deal with because they creep up. I've seen people who are same race and have a dark-skinned baby because they didn't realize back then, Kunta Kinte, that's no joke. You never know who Miss Martha and Brother James had. And then you come up with a black baby and everybody that you know is white. It may take a while, but generational things will creep up. What's in your closet? And when you recognize something in your closet that's not quite right, are you able to really say, I don't want to be like that? I don't want to be an abuser, a spousal abuser. My mama, dad, and uncle. You know, let me tell you something, and this is going to be in my book. I'm being honest with you. My father told me there are 3 people that I need to pray for. My biological children's father, my first husband. I was like, so what? The second person is my daughter's children's husband. I'm going to say, what now? And the third is my husband. So I'm going to close with this. When you think you've forgiven, and then something comes up like you need to pray for them, then you realize, have I really forgiven them? So let me just tell you about my first husband. I'm talking about what's in your closet. My first husband, you know why it's easy for me to forgive him and love him, regardless of what happened between us? I realized his family history. He didn't know any better. And he chose not to do better because he didn't know it was wrong. I can't hold against him what he had no clue was wrong. And I love him, absolutely, without a doubt. And I pray for him. I don't want to see anybody go to hell. I may be the only Jesus that he sees. I have a responsibility. What happened, happened. Either I allow it to hurt me or to strengthen me to love him more. And I choose to allow it to strengthen me to love him more. Appreciate him for what he's been through as a child, as an adult, what he has to face. If he knew better, he would do better. My grandchildren's father. Of course, I did not want my daughter to be one of those generational women who had a divorce. She was divorced. Been divorced, I think, 2 or 3 years now. That was not my vision for my baby girl. I love him. And I tell him that every time I see him, and I mean that. If something happened right now, I'll be like, where's he at? I'm going. But when the father said I had to pray for him, I'm like, so what now? I'm already praying. What do you mean? It wasn't just that I needed to pray for him. I needed to understand I too may be the only Jesus that he sees. His parents are very active in his life. They're very active in a certain denomination, and that's fine. But there's something about his personality that's causing him to hurt. And he's hurting my daughter. Hurt people hurt. So whatever it is that he's going through, I have to love him even more because people who hurt people. And the third person is my husband. I know for a fact I may be the only Jesus that he's seen. His childhood was so painful. Every relationship in his adult life had something that was not pleasant. He was in love with someone, deep-like, enamored. I could use another word, for years. Even in our marriage, he didn't turn her loose. Why do I have to pray for him? Because I realized that it wasn't that he loved her. It's that he was convinced that she needed him. And this last time around, ministering to him, and he realized, wait a minute, this is not right. Something's not wrong. And he realized she wasn't running after him. He didn't turn her loose. She doesn't need him. He wants to be needed. Every female let him down. When he met me, he said I was too good for him. I was educated. I deserved a doctor and a white house with a picket fence. He graduated high school and works in production. He doesn't think that he deserves me. What's in your closet? And I'm going to close. When it comes to relationships, and then I'm going to back up to the rest. When it comes to relationships, what you choose for yourself is a choice. But there's a history of why you choose that. I asked my daughter, whatever you do, if you see anybody that resembles your husband, your father, run. And she got somebody who was worse. Sometimes we tend to go to the things that's not good for us. Why? In relationships, hurt people hurt, and hurt people tend to gravitate toward hurt people. We have to take responsibility for breaking the cycle, and that's what the Bible is all about. Not everything in it, you have to read, but you can't do it by yourself. The enemy is not going to let you think logical. What's in your closet? Are you constantly, somebody I heard is on their 5th marriage. That's not right. Then there's something wrong with that person. It's not the person that they're choosing all the time. What's wrong with you? Why can't your relationships work? What is it from your generational situations that's causing you not to function in relationships? All 3 of these men that I mentioned had issues in their relationships, their family relationships. So they're hurt people. What are you predisposed to that's keeping you from having a real relationship with Jesus Christ? You know the scriptures, you see what it says, but yet you want to do it your way. What's in your closet keeping you from progressing? Remember I said everything I do is to help save your soul. What's in your closet that does not belong to you? He said stop going back to the things that people did of the old. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be who you are. Look at all the people who came from projects and decided that they wanted to get an education, and they did their homework with a candle and went to the library and slept on the school steps to make sure they weren't late. You have to have a desire to do something different from what's in you that does not benefit you. What's in your closet? Wearing big clothes out of my closet does not benefit me. There's somebody else who could use it, and I'm simply masking who I truly am and identifying with something that is not who I am. What are you identifying with? Is every other word out of your mouth profanity and you say, well, that's just what I do? It's a choice, because guess what? When you go around certain people, you don't use it. That lets you know that it's not a part of you. You've chosen to do that. Everything is a choice. Situations and circumstances are created to get a response from you in faith. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. But when you lean on your own understanding, the enemy is going to tell you, you can't do that. It will convince you that this is the way it's supposed to be. This is who I am. And let me tell you something. And again, I'm not here to make anybody like me or love me. It's just what I'm telling you. Generational things are real. People are predisposed to things. And everybody has an intellectual opinion. They have a spiritual opinion. As for me, we are all born with the tendency to have every sin committed by us. It just depends how strong it is in our genealogy, in our tree. If you go back and do your tree search, you'd be surprised how many people before your 2-year-old child had same-sex relationships, and then they grow up wanting to be something opposite. It's in their genes. I don't care. People say, you're not born gay. Really? Why are so many people born overweight? Why are people born blind? There are a lot of, red hair. Generational stuff is real. We are spirit beings, and things transfer spiritually. And it may not be in the last 50 years, but there's something in the genealogy that we are predisposed to, and we can't explain why I can't lose weight. Why do I have cancer? Why has everybody in my family got thyroid problems? Why is everybody in my family diabetic? There are things that we are predisposed to. That's not our fault. But it's how we respond to them that determines the victory in Christ. So that being said, what's in your closet? Don't be so quick to judge other people for visiting their closet and wearing what's in that closet, because you don't know what they were predisposed to. Love unconditionally, not love on approval. I've had people to hurt me, but it's not about me approving what they did. I love unconditionally because of what they did. Did you hear what I said? I love unconditionally because of what they did. Hurt people need love because they would not hurt you if they knew what they were doing. We are predisposed to everything from being a wife beater. Let me tell you, the first murder that occurred was domestic between two brothers. Do you really think domestic violence is going anywhere? We're all predisposed to that. And let me tell you about that. Domestic violence has different degrees. Just because nobody's reported you, just because you haven't left any bruises physically, you're guilty of domestic violence in some way. You have spoken negatively to somebody. You have spontaneously hit a child because you're frustrated and they really didn't do anything. You've cussed your mate out and they had like, where did that come from? Don't be too quick to judge people who have gone to the extreme with domestic violence, because you yourself, truth be told, are predisposed to domestic violence. What's in your closet? I don't think those two brothers who played together, ate together, thought about being killed by the other. How many mothers at 12 and 13 think by the time they're 23 they've killed their children? How many parents in their 60s think they will be killing their 27-year-old as they slept? How many 17-year-olds at 7 thought that they were going to grow up and try to kill their whole family? We are predisposed to commit every sin under the sun. It just depends on whether we listen to that still small voice. What's in your closet? Pay attention to what's in your closet, because what's in your closet could very well be why you're acting the way you are and cannot receive the word of the Lord, because the enemy does not want to turn you loose. And the only way you can do that is to study and show your own self-approved. The closer you draw to the Father, the closer He would draw to you. When I was driving down the road, and this will be in a book, and a tire broke loose on the opposite lane. I was on 95 going north, and a tow truck going south dropped a tire, and the tire bounced across the median, and I could see it coming toward me. And if I had not been a follower of Jesus Christ, oh yeah, trust me, I know how to use profanity. If I had not been a follower of Jesus Christ and the Spirit of the Lord was not resting in me, I would have went, oh shit, what just happened? But instead, while I was driving, shifting gears down, I saw it coming, and all I could do was pray. So what was in me came out, which is my relationship with Christ. That tire hit the top of my Isuzu Trooper at the time as I was downsizing, trying to move to the left lane. Traffic zooming by me. It just kept bouncing. The more I drove, it didn't leave me. It hit me 6 times until the whole roof caved in. All my windows were shattered. I had glass everywhere, and all I kept saying was, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. When I got myself together, I put the truck in reverse and backed up to where the original accident was, because that tire, the wrecker ran into the back of another truck. But anyway, the state trooper was like, you can't do that. And then he looked, he said, medics, come now, because they thought I was seriously injured, and I was just trembling. The vehicle was totally destroyed. They never found the tire. I should have been killed, either by the tire or by the car zooming past me at 5:30 on 95. What's in your closet? You say you have a relationship with Christ, but what's the first thing that comes out of your mouth when you're under stress? Is it profanity or scripture? Usually that tells you how much work you need on your relationship with Christ. Are you quick to anger, slow to speak, quick to listen? That would tell you how much you need to work on your relationship with Christ. So that being said, everybody, this is Ms.B. What's in your closet? How far back are you willing to go to find out why are you acting the way you act? Why do you do the things that you do? Why do you like the things that you like? I give you 2 examples and I'm done. I don't spend a lot of time with a lot of my close relatives, but there's something that's been generational. We all love Pepsi-Colas. My daughter, my cousins, my aunt, my mom, you name it, on both sides. And they don't even have anything to do with each other, but they all love Pepsi-Cola, and you wonder why. I'm really just struggling with that. The second thing is, my son, he's 38. What year is this? Okay, 37, 38. And he has his own place. I went to see him, and I opened up the refrigerator, and I saw a package of pecan twirls in his refrigerator. And all I could do was smile. I had no idea my son loved pecan twirls. Do you know every time they on sale at Food Lion, my husband brings me some? We like the same things and don't even tell each other. My daughter, we can decorate with the same things, don't tell each other. I go to her house and go, I got the same thing. And you don't believe there's such thing as generational predispositions? I love you all, and I pray that you have a blessed day, and I pray that I've said something today that helped you to understand that we all have a closet. It's just what we decide to go in and bring out. Are we wearing something that doesn't fit as a follower of Jesus Christ? All right, everybody, you have a blessed day, and thank you so much for listening. You can find me on www.positivelyms.com. I have 2 Facebook pages, Miss Benita Claiborne and Benita Claiborne, and my group, Positively Ms.B, is on both pages. So again, I thank you so much, and I really appreciate your support and your encouragement and your posts, and I do have the best timeline ever. Y'all are just magnificent. You're great. You're awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.